Our mind is like a constantly flowing river. Thoughts and worries continuously arise, making us feel as if we're being swept away in a psychological storm. Overthinking has become an unavoidable part of our daily lives. It not only reduces our productivity but also severely impacts our mental health and relationships. However, there is a way to take control of these thoughts and rediscover inner peace. That way is through applying the principles and teachings of Buddhism. In this video, we will explore 6 essential Buddhist teachings that can help you reduce overthinking and find peace in the present moment. Live in the present moment. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain, yet our minds often get caught between the two. We replay past mistakes, regrets, and missed opportunities, wishing we had done things differently. At the same time, we anxiously anticipate the future, worrying about what might happen, fearing the unknown, or trying to control things beyond our reach. This constant mental struggle creates stress, anxiety, and a sense of being overwhelmed. Buddhism teaches that true peace and clarity can only be found in the present moment. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." This teaching reminds us that the past is just a memory, and the future is merely an idea. The only thing that truly exists is the present. When we train our minds to stay in the now, we stop overanalyzing the past and speculating about the future. Why do we overthink? Overthinking often arises from fear and attachment. We fear making mistakes, losing what we have, or facing uncertainty. We become attached to past experiences, holding on to them as if they define us. We also cling to expectations about the future, believing that we must have everything planned and under control. However, life is unpredictable, and trying to control everything only leads to frustration. Buddhism offers a different perspective. Instead of resisting change and uncertainty, we should embrace them. When we accept that life is always shifting, we can learn to flow with it instead of fighting against it. A Buddhist story on living in the present. There is a well-known Buddhist story that illustrates the power of focusing on the present moment. A monk and his disciple were traveling through the countryside and they reached a wide river. The water was flowing fast, and the disciple hesitated, fearful of stepping in. He imagined all the things that could go wrong. He could slip, the current could be too strong, or he could get lost in the water. Seeing his hesitation, the monk smiled and said, "The river is always flowing, but the only way to cross it is to take the step before you, one at a time." Encouraged by these words, the disciple took a deep breath and stepped into the river. Instead of worrying about the entire crossing, he focused on each step he was taking. Soon, he found himself safely on the other side, realizing that his fears had been unnecessary. This story teaches a profound truth. When we focus too much on the future, we create fear and hesitation. However, when we bring our attention back to the present, we gain clarity, courage, and peace. How to live in the present moment. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Instead of getting lost in overthinking, practice observing your thoughts as if they were clouds passing through the sky. Acknowledge them, but do not attach to them. This mindfulness technique helps you stay grounded in the present. Engage fully in each moment. Whether you are eating, walking, or talking with someone, be fully present. Avoid distractions like checking your phone or letting your mind wander. The more you engage in the present, the less space there is for unnecessary worries. Practice gratitude. When you appreciate what you have right now, you stop longing for the past or worrying about the future. Gratitude brings your attention to the beauty of the present moment. Breathe consciously. Your breath is always in the present. Whenever you catch yourself overthinking, take a deep breath. Focusing on your breath naturally calms the mind and brings you back to the now. Accept uncertainty. The future will always be unknown. And that's okay. Instead of fearing it, trust that things will unfold as they should. Learning to be comfortable with uncertainty frees you from the burden of trying to control everything. Living in the present moment is not about ignoring the past or neglecting the future, it is about realizing that the only place where life truly happens is now. When we let go of unnecessary worries and embrace the present, we experience life more fully. Overthinking fades, and in its place, we find clarity, peace, and joy. The river of life is always flowing, and the best way to move forward is to take each step with mindfulness and trust. Thoughts are like clouds, let them pass. Our minds are constantly generating thoughts, just like the sky is constantly shifting with clouds. Some clouds are light and wispy, passing by unnoticed. Others are dark and heavy, lingering for a while before they dissolve. Similarly, our thoughts arise, stay for a moment, and then disappear. However, many of us tend to grasp onto our thoughts, believing they define who we are. This attachment can lead to unnecessary suffering, anxiety, and overthinking. Thoughts are fleeting and do not define us. A common mistake we make is identifying too much with our thoughts. When a negative thought arises, such as, "I am not good enough," or, "I always fail," we sometimes assume that this thought represents an absolute truth. However, thoughts are simply mental events, not reflections of reality. Imagine sitting by a river and watching leaves float by. Each leaf represents a thought. Some may catch your attention, while others drift away unnoticed. You wouldn't chase after every leaf or believe that every single one has meaning. Similarly, just because a thought appears in your mind doesn't mean it defines you or holds deep significance. Over-identifying with thoughts causes unnecessary suffering. The real problem arises when we attach ourselves to certain thoughts, especially negative ones. Suppose a thought like, "I'm not smart enough," appears in your mind. If you believe it, you may start feeling discouraged, unmotivated, or even depressed. This cycle can spiral out of control, turning a single passing thought into an ongoing narrative that limits your potential. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from attachment. In this case, suffering comes from clinging to our thoughts and treating them as permanent truths. The more we hold on to a thought, the more power we give it over our emotions and actions. But if we learn to observe our thoughts without attachment, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. By observing thoughts without attachment, we free ourselves from overthinking. The key to inner peace is learning to observe our thoughts like a witness rather than a participant. Meditation and mindfulness are powerful tools for cultivating this awareness. When a thought arises, instead of reacting emotionally or getting caught in its story, simply acknowledge it. Here is a thought about self-doubt. Then, let it go, just like watching a cloud drift by in the sky. This practice allows you to step back from overthinking and maintain a sense of calm and clarity. A useful technique is labeling thoughts as they come up. For example, if you notice yourself thinking, "I might fail this task," you can mentally say, "worrying thought." If you find yourself replaying a past mistake, you can label it as memory. This simple practice helps you detach from thoughts instead of getting lost in them. Thoughts are temporary, like clouds passing through the sky. By recognizing that they do not define us, avoiding attachment, and practicing mindful observation, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and overthinking. Instead of being controlled by our thoughts, we learn to watch them with awareness and let them pass, leaving us with greater peace, clarity, and emotional freedom. Overthinking creates suffering. Let go of control. Many of us believe that if we think long and hard enough about a problem, we can solve it or prevent bad things from happening. However, overthinking often leads to anxiety, stress, and suffering rather than solutions. The more we try to control every outcome, the more we become trapped in our own minds. True peace comes when we recognize that suffering is not caused by external events but by our reactions to them. By learning to accept what we cannot control and letting go of the illusion of control, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Suffering is caused by our reaction to events, not the events themselves. Life is full of unpredictable situations, job losses, relationship changes, unexpected failures, or even small daily frustrations. However, the events themselves are not the true cause of our suffering. It is our mental resistance to these events, our refusal to accept them as they are, that creates suffering. Imagine two people stuck in a traffic jam. One person gets angry, honks the horn, and complains about how unfair life is. The other person turns on calming music, breathes deeply, and accepts the situation. The traffic jam is the same for both people, but their experience is entirely different. This difference comes from their reaction. Buddhist teachings emphasize that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain comes from life's natural difficulties, but suffering arises when we mentally fight against reality. When we overthink, dwell on what-if scenarios, or resist things we cannot change, we create our own suffering. Accept what you cannot control and release the illusion of control. Many people spend their lives trying to control everything, other people's opinions, the future, and even their own emotions. This illusion of control gives a temporary sense of security, but in reality, it only leads to more stress and disappointment. The truth is, we cannot control most things in life. We cannot control the past, the future, or how others behave. What we can control is our own mindset and how we respond to situations. When we shift our focus from trying to control the uncontrollable to accepting things as they are, we experience a deep sense of peace. A simple practice to cultivate acceptance is to remind yourself, I am responsible for my actions, but I am not responsible for everything that happens. This mindset allows you to put in your best effort while letting go of unnecessary worry. The story of the person pushing a boulder. There is a story of a man who encountered a giant boulder blocking his path. Determined to move forward, he pushed the boulder with all his strength. He spent hours trying to shove it aside, growing frustrated and exhausted. He believed that if he just tried harder, he could make it move. A wise teacher saw his struggle and said, "Why do you push against what will not move? The boulder is not in your way, your resistance to it is." The man realized that he was exhausting himself fighting against something immovable. Instead of resisting reality, he chose to walk around the boulder, continuing his journey with ease. This story illustrates how much suffering we create when we fight against what we cannot change. Instead of wasting energy trying to force life to go our way, we can redirect our efforts toward acceptance and adaptation. Overthinking and the desire for control create unnecessary suffering. When we recognize that suffering comes from our reactions rather than external events, we can begin to shift our mindset. By accepting what we cannot control and letting go of resistance, we free ourselves from mental exhaustion. Like the person pushing the boulder, we must learn to stop fighting reality and instead flow with it. In doing so, we find clarity, peace, and true inner freedom. Practice mindfulness, anchor yourself in the breath. In today's fast-paced world, our minds are constantly racing, jumping from one thought to another, often dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. This endless cycle of overthinking can lead to stress, anxiety, and exhaustion. However, mindfulness offers a powerful way to break free from this mental turbulence. By anchoring ourselves in the breath, we can cultivate inner peace, stay present, and regain control over our thoughts. Mindfulness helps quiet the mind and break the cycle of overthinking. Overthinking is like a storm in the mind. One thought leads to another, creating a whirlwind of worries and doubts. The more we engage with these thoughts, the stronger they become. Mindfulness helps us step back from this cycle by bringing our awareness to the present moment, allowing thoughts to arise and pass without getting caught in them. When we practice mindfulness, we train ourselves to observe our thoughts without judgment. Instead of reacting emotionally to every thought, we simply notice them and return to the present. This creates mental clarity and prevents us from becoming overwhelmed by unnecessary worries. Focusing on the breath keeps us present and prevents mental overwhelm. The breath is a natural anchor to the present moment. Unlike thoughts, which constantly change, the breath is always with us, steady and reliable. By paying attention to each inhale and exhale, we ground ourselves in the now, preventing the mind from wandering into overthinking. A simple mindfulness practice is to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, filling your body with life. As you exhale, notice the sensation of release. Whenever your mind drifts, gently bring your focus back to the breath. This practice not only calms the mind but also enhances concentration and emotional balance, even in stressful situations. A few deep, mindful breaths can instantly bring clarity and reduce anxiety. Instead of reacting impulsively, we respond with awareness and calmness. When the mind is calm, the breath is calm, mindfulness leads to inner peace. There is a deep connection between the mind and the breath. When the mind is restless, the breath becomes shallow and irregular. But when we slow down our breathing and focus on it, the mind naturally follows, becoming more peaceful and centered. Ancient Buddhist teachings emphasize that a calm breath leads to a calm mind. When we practice mindful breathing, we cultivate inner stillness, allowing us to experience true peace, even in the midst of life's challenges. Practicing mindfulness through the breath is a simple yet powerful way to break free from overthinking and cultivate inner peace. By anchoring ourselves in each inhale and exhale, we stay present, reduce stress, and bring clarity to our minds. When we calm our breath, we calm our minds, leading to a life of greater awareness, balance, and tranquility. Simplicity is freedom. Stop overcomplicating life. In modern life, we often make things more complicated than they need to be. We worry about unnecessary things, overanalyze situations, and chase after happiness as if it were something distant. However, true happiness and peace come not from adding more to life but from simplifying it. By letting go of mental clutter and embracing simplicity, we can experience true freedom. Worrying about unnecessary things clutters the mind. Our minds are filled with countless concerns: what others think of us, whether we have enough, or what might go wrong in the future. Most of these worries never come true, yet they consume our energy and cloud our thinking. When we focus on what truly matters and let go of unnecessary concerns, we create space for clarity and inner peace. Happiness is found in simple moments. Many people believe happiness comes from achieving great success, wealth, or status. But in reality, happiness is found in the small, simple moments, watching a sunrise, sharing a meal with loved ones, or enjoying a peaceful walk. When we stop chasing happiness and start appreciating the present, we realize that joy has always been within reach. Zen monks embrace simplicity to cultivate peace. Zen monks live with minimal possessions, focusing only on what is essential. They believe that simplicity clears the mind and allows one to be fully present. By adopting a similar mindset, letting go of excess distractions and focusing on what brings true meaning, we can cultivate peace, clarity, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Simplicity is the key to freedom. By clearing mental and material clutter, appreciating simple joys, and focusing on what truly matters, we can live a life of greater peace and happiness. Trust in impermanence, nothing lasts forever. Life is constantly changing. The moments of joy we cherish, as well as the struggles we endure, are all temporary. Yet, many of us resist this truth, clinging to the illusion that things will stay the same. This resistance fuels anxiety, overthinking, and suffering. However, when we embrace impermanence, we free ourselves from unnecessary worries and discover a deep sense of peace. All things, including struggles, are temporary. When we experience hardship, it often feels like it will last forever. We become consumed by pain, believing that our difficulties are permanent. But just like the passing seasons, nothing in life remains the same. No storm lasts forever, and no pain is eternal. Think about a time when you faced a major challenge. At that moment, it may have felt unbearable, but eventually, it passed. You moved forward, grew stronger, and gained wisdom from the experience. When we understand that struggles are temporary, we no longer fear them as much. Instead, we endure them with patience, knowing that change is always on the horizon. Fear of permanence fuels overthinking, but everything changes. One of the biggest sources of overthinking is the fear that we will be stuck in an unwanted situation forever. We worry about things not improving, about making irreversible mistakes, or about losing what we have. This fear arises from a misunderstanding of life's nature. Everything is in constant motion. Just as day turns into night and winter gives way to spring, our circumstances, emotions, and thoughts are always shifting. Clinging to the idea of permanence only creates suffering. The more we accept change, the less we feel the need to control everything, and the freer our minds become. Recognizing impermanence helps us let go of worries and find peace. When we deeply understand impermanence, we stop resisting change and start flowing with life. We no longer grasp tightly to fleeting moments, nor do we fear what lies ahead. Instead, we embrace each experience fully, knowing that nothing lasts forever. A mindful approach to impermanence allows us to let go of unnecessary worries and overthinking. Appreciate each moment without clinging to it. Face challenges with resilience, knowing they will pass. Find peace in the ever-changing nature of life. Trusting in impermanence is the key to inner peace. By remembering that everything changes, both joy and suffering, we free ourselves from the weight of fear and worry. Instead of resisting life's natural flow, we embrace it with wisdom and acceptance, allowing us to live with greater ease, clarity, and contentment. Conclusion. Life is filled with challenges, uncertainties, and moments of joy. But no matter what happens, true peace comes from within. The teachings of mindfulness, simplicity, and impermanence are not just ideas to think about, they are practices to live by. When we apply them in our daily lives, we create a foundation of inner calm that no external situation can shake. Train your mind with patience and practice. Like any skill, cultivating peace requires patience and effort. The mind is naturally restless, constantly seeking distractions or worrying about the future. But with practice, we can train it to be still, present, and resilient. Each time you find yourself caught in overthinking, gently bring your focus back to the breath. Each time you feel overwhelmed by life's complexities, remind yourself of the power of simplicity. Each time you fear change, remember that nothing lasts forever, and that's what makes life beautiful. These small moments of awareness add up, shaping a mind that is strong, calm, and free. Stay present, stay peaceful, and share this wisdom. Inner peace is not just for ourselves, it is a gift we can share with the world. When we embody mindfulness and acceptance, we inspire others to do the same. A peaceful mind leads to kind words, compassionate actions, and a life that uplifts those around us. So, take a deep breath. Stay present. Trust the flow of life. And as you walk this journey, share the wisdom of peace with others. In doing so, you make the world a little brighter, one mindful moment at a time.